call it the city that never sleeps, the city of dreams, the Big Apple, the crossroads of the world. It's said that if you can make it there, you could make it anywhere. So they come, from across the globe with bags full of hopes and dreams, and the city welcomes them. But dreams are rarely what they are believed to be, for while the city may never sleep, still night falls. And it is in the night that the children of Cain wake and play out the masquerade in my city. Beware, children, lest ye fall.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Hi, that was a cool intro, wasn't it? Welcome to our very first session of Vampire the Masquerade. I was going to say World of Darkness, but we are playing in the World of Darkness. I am Simon, Wandering DM. I'll be playing Sid Zimmerman, the gangrel detective for this game. Wow, I was so unprepared. I rushed to do the overlay and everything right before this. Our show is sponsored by Mage and Press. Mage and Press, the makers of Dark Matter and other books such as Taverns and Tankards. If you're interested in seeing their product, you can watch us play Dark Matter on Tuesdays here. Or you can go on their store at store.mageandpress.com, and if you use code WanderingDM, you get 15% off of everything you'd like to buy. Now, for this game today, we're missing 2 players. They're going to be back with us next week. But in the meantime, I have a group of excellent players with me that I would like to introduce you to. And I will leave the mic to... Let's start with our Toreador.
Hello, everybody. Wow, there's nothing like the pressure of an intro. I am playing Auden St. James, art critic, food lover, romantic at heart, but most of all, giant elitist fucking hipster. And that's, yeah, we'll play along as we go. I am also the baby of all the vampires, which is accurate in a lot of ways, but yeah, so that's how we're gonna start.
And right next to Auden St. James is our Ventru.
Hello, everyone. I'm Scott. I'm at Berserker_Rage on Twitter and in the Twitch chat. So feel free to say hello. I will be playing Alexander Erickson, our resident Ventru, and just elitist. No hipster, just elitist.
Am I the only down to earth person here?
Yeah, most likely.
I mean, I guess you would be the down to earth. I guess we have yet to see the under the earth one.
Yeah, no, this one's not here this week. And to herd all of these vampires, to corral us into a story that makes more sense than the sitcom that we've established during character creation, is Deirdre. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Welcome, everyone, to New York. As our dear prince said in the intro, the city never sleeps. But darkness does fall even in this city. So why don't we see what story there is to determine in this one? There we are. We have a interesting group of vampires that reside in, well, the lower west side of Manhattan. They've all come together for various reasons. We know two who, well, they've joined each other for an extended period of time. How long would you say Sid and Alex have known each other?
42 years?
Yeah, we met in 77.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 42 years.
And it's a very long time, at least a respectable amount of time for vampires to get comfortable with each other. Comfortable enough that after Sid managed to acquire a small property in what was the meatpacking district before it became gentrified, and now has become a small home for various vampires. The brownstone on Charlton Street, 1 block south of Houston and a block west of Spring Street. The west side of Manhattan has always been entertaining and full of interesting people. Now it's just full of interesting vampires, one should say. But why don't we start with our, well, technical owner of this property, at least his name's on the piece of paper, Mr. Zimmerman. What do we see as we walk up the flight of the brownstone to open the door into the parlor floor? Excuse me. Who do we see, Mr. Zimmerman?
We see a man with bedraggled hair, a thick 5 o'clock shadow across his face. He's wearing a white shirt that is unbuttoned at the top, still waking up tonight. The first one to awaken, I believe, amongst the coterie here in the brownstone. And he just goes from room to room, turns on the lights, goes to the fridge, and opens up one of Alexander's blood packs, and just drains it. I swear I'll never get used to this place. And he makes his way to the room that they've dedicated as his office, waiting for his secretary to show up.
The front parlor, sir, or the back parlor?
Like I said, I'll never get used to this place. But that would be the front parlor.
Yes. Yeah, Sid is the first to awaken this night. It's hot. It's summer in the city. You can hear down the street with your senses, the hydrants have been opened. Even though it's sun is setting and you can look down and see it just dropping beyond Jersey. You can hear the kids running in the water. The next, above you, you can start to hear the sounds of Alexander awakening. Mr. Alexander Erickson, what do we see as we pan up to, I believe, the 4th floor of this brownstone has been dedicated to your, tastes?
As well as my tastes can be satiated. We see a very well dressed man. Tall, dirty blondish hair, but very short and kept. Wearing a suit that probably cost more than most people make in a year. But would find that he's not quite upset with Sid borrowing his things. He's quite used to it.
Remains upstairs, or does he proceed downstairs?
Proceeds to finish coming around and then heads downstairs.
The air is hot and humid. You could cut the atmosphere with a knife tonight. You feel it. You can also smell it. The two of you. It doesn't matter how long the good mayor of the city claims that the river has been cleaned up. You both are able to still smell the, rot underneath. The dark stench of, what was the seaweed and the East River and everything that ever gotten flushed into it. The tide's changing, though.
It's probably a good thing that we no longer perspire. Or have a palatable stomach to turn.
True. And then the last to awaken this night, or at least the last to make their presence known. There's some banging from the basement, but who's ever down there hasn't emerged and probably won't. But coming from the 3rd floor, there's a soft music beginning to play as an alarm goes off. Some indie station in New York. And we see what, Alyssa?
We see Auden St. James pulling off a kimono wrestled from a thrift store just a few blocks away. We see someone with long, dark hair that is starting to grow out its very bright red tips that were put in for an ironic phase to go with a piece that she had been working on. She is as pale as one can imagine, but decides that her efforts require just the slightest touch of makeup. So she does her face very gently, but not enough to get rid of the sort of beauty of the porcelain going on. Chooses a sensible, but also very comfortable button-up shirt, collar all the way up, and a pair of awful cut-off short overalls. Because That is the irony of the look, is that she is supposed to be combining the maturity of adulthood with the wonder of childhood. She is very aware of how pretentious this outfit makes her sound when she explains it to anyone that will listen, and she does not care. She is also proud to be listening to a radio station that is for some reason in its third hour of a Sufjan Stevens marathon. And while the songs are talking about Jesus or perhaps a male lover, no one will ever be quite sure, she is not paying attention to the music itself, but to her own reflection, trying out various smiles and haughty looks. Because Auden is nothing if not vain. Suppose that it's time for me to go downstairs. And suppose that it is still yet another hot summer night. It will never feel as bad as it used to, that's for sure. Perhaps I should see what the rest of the house is doing. I do feel the need to check the blog first. And, it seems they're talking about Maurice's new piece. Such garbage. Perhaps one day New York will embrace the true power of a good minimalist form. Gone are the days that people truly went for as little as possible in the art world. The bombast of the moderns. Anyway. Oh, look. They've picked up my piece for the New York Times. Huh.
As this commentary is going to no one, but everyone in the house can definitely hear it. Mr. Zimmerman, there's a knock at the front door.
I stop rolling my eyes because it's starting to hurt. And I make my way to the front door.
There is a bike messenger standing there, holding a package out to you. A small letter size package. And a clipboard. Kind of looking at you very impatiently. Not making eye contact, but still giving you that look of, well, why haven't you signed it yet? I've got 15 other places to be. You're wasting my time. And this is New York.
I'll make sure to take the pen, start signing my name. Oops, drop the pen. Oh, how clumsy of me. I'll pick it back up, finish signing, hand over the clipboard, and take the letter.
He kind of glares at you for not even deigning to give him a tip, and then he's gone in a second. You can still smell the disdain for him that he had for you as he leaves on that bike, weaving in and out of traffic. A few horns honking in the distance as he probably causes the beginnings of a accident, as bike messengers in New York are wont to do.
Humans.
But there's a letter, interestingly enough, addressed purposely to Mr. Sid Zimmerman and Mr. Alexander Erickson, Esquire, and Associates.
Esquire. Erickson. Hey, Alex!
Yes.
We got mail. The paper kind.
aware. I'll be right there. And I'll join Sid. Well, are you going to stand there and hold it all night, or are you actually going to open it?
Wow. Rude, Alex. Good evening to you too, I say as I take a nail and rip open the envelope.
Still standing in the foyer or moving back to your office?
I think, well, as I do so, I'll move back to the office. Just get away from the front door.
What does your office look like, sir?
A mess. So it's got this desk that he's got actually two desks, one for himself, one for Sid, and one for Dolly, his ghoul secretary. And her desk is kept clean because she believes that this is what Sid likes, and she wants to, as every ghouls are wont to do, she wants to please, so she keeps everything tidy up. In my case, Sid's desk is a mountain of various papers, newspaper clippings. There's an old battered laptop that Sid has all the trouble in the world operating. And it breaks more often than not, which Sid doesn't know if it's his fault or the machine. But most of the papers on the desk are stained with what should have been coffee stains back when he was alive are now just blood stains from a cup that he drinks. He likes to mix his blood with a bit of alcohol to remind himself of the good old days when he was still able to feel the tingle of booze. Now knowing that he needs to go and feed on a drunk person to get that same high. But this is something that Sid is, well, not particularly fond of. He likes to hunt, but he feels that drunkards are just too easy. So yeah, mountains of paperwork, stained, newspaper clippings, and a battered old laptop. And on the wall, I forgot, there's a giant corkboard with various pictures, one of which is our old coterie that Alexander and I were part of back in the 70s.
Alex, what is your opinion of this space as you walk into it?
It's, I don't know, one newspaper shy of a hoarder's apartment. It's not what I would prefer to operate out of, which is why I don't. I leave that for Sid. That's Sid's space, which is fine. I don't invade, and I only ask that it doesn't escape this room. Please.
How often does it escape this room?
I was gonna say you can sometimes find newspaper clippings in other rooms that Sid just absent-mindedly left somewhere else.
I swear I would hire a cleaner to come clean this place.
You don't have one already.
Not for Sid's room, anyway.
Mm.
No, nobody touches my room.
That's, yes. Those are his things. I will leave them to himself.
But there's a letter. A legal messenger-sized document. You've seen a couple of these before. Usually when the sheriff or one of the borough captains chooses to communicate with you in an official capacity when they're requesting assistance. It's a good, almost secondary business for you, Sid. The appreciation of the borough captains has ensured the a sort of protected status from certain others. Sometimes.
So, what does the good sheriff want with us today?
As you open this letter, this document, it's odd. It's not from the sheriff or any of the borough captains that you're used to dealing with. It's actually much heavier, more formal. The paper is heavy, old style, crushed pulp. You're both of an age that you can remember very formal, monogrammed, personal word in my head. Stationery.
Okay.
This is sealed with wax on the back as you pull it out of this manila envelope. And it's a seal that Alexander would almost immediately recognize. Well, being the venture that you are, you're aware of the people of status in your city. And this particular seal belongs to one whom you are very aware of and a certain level of obligation to. Miss Jessica Pearson has addressed this letter to Mr. Sid Zimmerman and Mr. Alexander Erickson Esquire, and then underneath, and Associates. And Jessica Pearson, of course, being the primogen of the Ventru in this city.
What is it Miss Pearson's wanting?
Opening the letter, you find an invitation and 4 tickets to a private performance at the opera this evening. An invitation to join Miss Pearson in her private box. She looks forward to seeing you. The performance is at 10.
Since we're in the middle of summer, I figure sundown is probably close to 10, so we don't have a whole lot of time.
Yeah, you're looking at like 9:30. It probably is just about 9:30 now. You've probably got just enough time to get changed and get uptown. Because for the players, wait, I need to move you guys. There you are. You are down here on the close to the Houston Street station, between Houston Street and Canal and Spring Street station, and you need to make your way up to the Lincoln Center. Luckily, all you have to do is take the 1 or the 9. Or excuse me, the 1 or the 2. It's been a very long time, but you still remember when the train was the 1 and the 9 instead of the 1, 2, 3.
That's close enough. Well, I'm all ready to head out to the opera. Do you want me to go fetch Auden?
Yes.
Alex, would you consider Sid to be dressed appropriately for a summer opera and meeting your primogen?
No, not at all. More than likely, he's probably not dressed to, well, our standards.
But you're going to let him go anyways, aren't you?
Well, it's not his primogen he has to answer to, so I don't mind being associated, but I'll step up my end to impress.
And Sid is going to go find Auden.
Yeah, I'm gonna go knock on her door.
Yes.
You done fawning over yourself in there?
I do not even know what you're talking about. I am clearly working. She's not working at all. She's actually just has a variety of social media things open and a blank document where she's supposed to be typing notes from an art show the night before. What can I help you with?
So, we got tickets for, the opera. I figure you'd like to come, since it's artsy and all.
Interesting way to describe my work. Artsy is not how I would do it, but yeah, sure. How long do we have? Because I need to get changed.
About 5 minutes.
You couldn't have told me sooner. Where's Alexander? He would have. Anyway, I'll be right down. Anna is going to spend the next 5 minutes digging out a tuxedo with tails and a very long maxi skirt to wear with this whole outfit.
I love it. It'll be fabulous.
Oh, yes.
And you are so lucky you're a vampire and don't feel the heat, because it's gonna be hot.
Mm-hmm.
Even as the sun has dropped, and they claim the temperature has dropped with it. That just means instead of feeling like 110, it only feels like 97.
Oh, that's accurate to real life right now.
Welcome to New York in the summertime.
Yay.
So then the question becomes, lady and gentlemen, how do you get uptown?
How far do we have to go? We have to go quite a bit of ways. So
You have to go to Lincoln Center.
I'd rather not take the train if I could avoid it, but it might be less than impossible now since we have such little time.
I mean, we could take your private jet, Alexander.
Why would you take a jet in this?
For real.
Have you
Honestly, I'd charter a
older-
helicopter before.
you older vampires considered an Uber? Do you know what the Uber is? Do I have to explain what technology? We can call a car and they'll come get us, and we don't have to go on the train.
I
So a
don't
taxi.
need the patronizing.
Taxis? What? Yes, taxi. Well, it's a taxi, but it's not like. Never mind. It's a taxi.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to take a car uptown 80 blocks.
Yeah, I don't think we'll make it on...
No, not in New York traffic. You'd be insane to try. Even with my private drivers, I don't think we could make it there in time. The train's fine. I'll have to make do.
No. Alexander Erickson, Esquire, is going to bathe in the unwashed masses of New York for about 15 minutes.
I've been bathing in the unwashed masses of New York for the last 100 years.
But it is New York, and it is the subway. Everyone takes the subway in New York.
It's very true.
It's where the true melting pot of the city is seen. You'll see a couple drunks hanging out, riding the train, not really moving. You'll see a couple street performers on the stations as you go through, busking for a couple dollars. A couple of them are really good. And Sid and Alex have been in the city long enough to tell that they're almost out. Those guys are going to get a record deal in maybe a couple months at the outside. They've moved up to actual permits instead of just riding the train. You see parents and children on their way home or on the way to somewhere. Businessmen and girls out on an evening. Frat boys and, well, people who've been drinking a little early this night. You see folk just sitting on the train, reading a book, listening to music, watching their phones. A cross-section of the world on the train in New York. And it's 10, maybe 15 minutes. Y'all got the express to Lincoln Center. It's quiet, though. You'd expect on a performance night to see a mass of people exiting the train at the station underneath Lincoln Center with you. But it's quiet. There's almost no one here. Have any of you been to the Met before?
I would have been at some point, but not for a major production, only for a small opera that friends of friends recommended, that it was the new series.
A avant-garde performance at the City Opera versus the Met?
They would have been probably, maybe it was a little bit of an illegal setup, like maybe they broke in and they weren't supposed to be there. There were also, she would have definitely been there as a student and seeing student performances of friends of friends.
Yeah. And the Met opens up for you. It's white columns, it's large glass windows, it's very ostentatious, dripping chandeliers in the main foyer as you come up from underneath the subway. The large sweeping staircase that goes up either side of the main hall, white marble with red velvet runners going down the side. And again, it's quiet. There's no one here. But the lights are on. Do you do
Maybe.
anything?
It appears perhaps we have a special performance this evening. I would expect more people to be here.
Interesting. Awful quiet.
This must be something special. Jessica's outdone herself.
I mean, isn't this an opera performance? I don't think opera is super popular anymore.
Opera is still very much valued by people who know what to value. You would know this if you were paying attention to my blog like I asked you to the other night.
It's my laptop. My laptop just doesn't work.
I think Auden's being polite.
I showed you the page on my computer the last time. You know what? It's fine. We're going to figure out what this is. If nobody's here, it means we get something real special.
The
And I'm looking at my watch. What time is it?
5 of.
We should be moving along later than I'd like to be. Let's go. I'll walk in, start heading in.
As you approach the doors, there is one person standing there, immaculately dressed in a full livery. Extremely out of place. Not the suits or dresses of the usual ushers of the Met, but a full footman's livery from a time long gone, before the wars. Very formal, very precise. He looks at everyone and merely asks, "Your tickets, please."
I'll hand him my tickets.
Ah, ladies' guests, if you'll follow me. and he'll lead you around. And as you're walking through, you can see that there are a couple lights on in a few of the boxes, but the orchestra is empty. The balconies, the family circle, the mezzanine, empty. And he escorts you to box 8 on the second level and knocks precisely twice on the door, opens it, and steps through and announces, "Mr. Sid Zimmerman, Mr. Alexander Erickson, Esquire, and Miss Auden St. James, madam." You hear a voice, a very pleasant voice. "Thank you. That'll be all. Refreshments at the first intermission." "Of course, madam." And he kind of half bows the three of you in.
Fancy place.
And seated beyond the curtain of the boxes, in dead center seat, is a tall woman, dark skin, dark hair, immaculately dressed, fabulous. Well, Auden might appreciate the fact that it's definitely from Yves Saint Laurent, but not a runway special. You see the unique marks of that particular designer, but this is a special order for this very tall, almost statuesque woman. And as you walk into the space, you all feel it. Her aura, her presence just washes over you. Out of curiosity, can all of you roll me willpower?
Just straight willpower.
Just straight willpower. Unless you have something that you think will work against this.
Obviously, she's using awe, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, does Iron Will do anything against awe again?
It gives you an extra die, I believe. It makes straight dominant give her a disadvantage, but against awe, I think it's just an extra die.
Oh no. Roll 20 is being roll 20.
Oh, well, you know.
Like, I'm clicking the dice next to willpower, but it's not.
Okay, well, just do it with the roller.
Oh, there it is. Input value. Never mind. There was a pop-up that came up. I didn't.
Yeah. Full mod 1.
What's the difficulty?
8.
8? Okay.
Shit. Oh, one success.
One success.
No successes.
Yep. Uh-huh.
At least I didn't fumble like
No.
some of us.
Yeah, Scott, you fumbled.
Oh, I did?
You
What
crit
did they want
failed. No, it says
It
minus
says
one
minus
success.
one.
Oh, minus one
Oh, no,
success.
yeah, you did. Oh, yeah. That's
Oh.
definitely what that says.
Wonderful.
It says minus one success because you rolled a 1 with no 10s to offset it. You are... Both gentlemen are struck. Almost dumb. You're not in love with this woman, but you feel like if she wanted you to be, you would be. And I'm gonna say, Mr. Erickson, with that severe fumble, you're a little bit tongue-tied in the presence of, well, this woman, this primogen of yours. Miss St. James, however, manages to hold on to herself a little bit better to make a better presentation. You're still very much struck by her, but less of a want to fall in love with her and more you hope one day to have that same control and authority in a space that she does. And she notices all of this, and she smiles a little and gestures to the chairs next to her and says, Miss St. James, why don't you come sit next to me and these fine gentlemen can join us?
Much obliged, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm just gonna like eye the other two, like, oh my god, this is like trying not to show how excited I am, because that's also part of my job is to not be excited by anything, but I'm definitely excited.
I hope you enjoy Verdi. I had a quiet conversation when they were about to perform. I love Aida. It's one of my favorite operas. It's a shame that they can't get the elephants anymore.
Indeed. Auden definitely doesn't know shit about opera. But she's trying to play along. I very much agree.
Mm-hmm. Out of curiosity. No, I know what she does. Do the two of you sit down?
Oh yeah. I'll try to sit down as far away from her as I can, within the confine of the box. Just because I'm just like, awestruck, and I feel like if I get too close to her bubble, I'll do or say something that'll get me in trouble. So I want to observe from afar.
Well, it's a little hard in a private box, but you do have the seats are slightly angled. She's seated in the center seat of the first row of the box. She gestured for Auden to take the seat to her left. There's one more seat next to her, and then the 3 seats behind her.
Well, I'm taking the seat next to her.
Yeah, so I'll probably sit behind Auden.
Mm-hmm. The music swells, the opera begins, and if you're looking around, even in the dark, you can see that there are only 2 other boxes, both on the other side of the theater as a whole. If you're considering that her box is here, there is 1 box here occupied and 1 box here occupied. It's a brilliant, rousing performance of Aida. A tale about a Nubian princess captured in battle against the Egyptians who falls in love with an Egyptian prince and who's already been engaged to the pharaoh's daughter. And there was a time period when they actually did have elephants on the stage for that performance. No longer. But even without the live elephants, it's a beautiful stagecraft. The first intermission falls and the lights come up, and the same liveried gentleman presents glasses, deep, rich red that you can... It's odd, you should have been able to smell that blood walking down the hall, but it's not until it crosses the threshold of the box that you are struck by it. Fresh, human, young. She turns and offers to everyone, "Please, join me."
I don't want to be rude, ma'am, but I kind of need to know where this came from.
Oh, don't worry. I'm not going to violate any of your dietary restrictions. It's a few volunteers of mine.
I'm gonna politely raise as in a thank you sort of motion.
I'll have to inquire. You know,
Of course.
of our. Oh, I don't want to say. I guess our bane it would be.
Limitations. I mean, the modern era does make it so much easier to just say that one has certain dietary restrictions.
Yes, I'm of the assumption this is all right.
Oh, it meets everyone's requirements.
Very well. Thank you for your hospitality. And I'll take the glass.
I'll take
And
one.
you. Do you drink?
Yes.
I wait until the other three do before I take my first sip, but then yes.
I mean,
For Alex, it's fine. You swallow it down. Normally, it's odd. It's perfect for you. Exactly what you needed. And, Sid, it definitely does not fall under your restrictions of, well, who you don't choose to imbibe from.
Good. Good.
It's very pleasant. It's free of very healthy, even. And as you swallow it down, she sighs and, well, now that the social niceties are out of the way, I have a small task I would like to seek your assistance on.
I'm all ears. We would be more than happy to hear the needs of.
I trust this shall be kept confidential.
Of course.
She
Yeah.
kind of looks over the three of you, evaluates you for a moment. You will know that our queen is unique in this, well, new world. An almost open city allows many to reside within it as long as they follow her rules and obey her commandments. Yes?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a, shall we say, rise of certain individuals who do not appreciate our prince's cosmopolitan attitude. Usually such things would fall under the authority of her scourge, or any one of her sheriffs or the boroughs, but there's been a slow and methodical rise in, well, the political issues we'll deal with. That's not your problem. But what for you I'm concerned about and would desire, there are those who have taken to kidnap for business. Hostage taking as profit making. Usually, well, the prince doesn't even deign to negotiate with hostage takers. It's not her personality. And you would know that. You would know that the queen is, well, prince, although she's taken to the title of queen frequently, has ruled this city for almost 150 years, and those who would attempt to act against her are usually disposed of in a public and messy manner. a guarantee against those who would otherwise seek to displace her. But this is not that kind of issue. They've started using, well, innocence, for lack of a better term, to propagate their ideologies. There are two that we want you to find. I have the information that I know of. I'll have Thomas give it to you. They are part of this new social world, this online existence that extends beyond the mortal realms of the night. They've drawn the attention of certain individuals that the prince would rather not have in her city. I want you to find them, and I want you to bring them to me.
Well, that sounds easy enough for us. Sid?
I can find just about anyone in New York City.
Good. We don't want this public. Keep it quiet. But be aware. Certain individuals from Rome have taken an interest in these particular dissidents.
Are we expecting a breach?
We're always expecting a breach.
Well,
It's why there isn't any. The first rule is always in effect.
of course it is. No one would live in this city that didn't abide by that.
But apparently these two desire to break that rule, so deal with it.
Very well.
Now, would you like to stay for the end of the performance?
I very much would be curious to see how it ends.
With blood, like all good operas do.
Indeed.
She kind of gestures with a hand, and you suddenly notice that while this was intermission, it extended much longer than would normally be expected. And you see the conductor, as she gestures, nod and raise his baton and goes into the later acts of the opera, wherein Aida, this Nubian princess, and her Egyptian lover fall into the ill graces of the pharaoh's daughter and the Egyptian people as a whole. And while they do have their wonderful romantic joint aria, they are entombed alive at the end of the opera to die slowly in suffocation. While the pharaoh's daughter goes on to kill her betrothed father who arranged this whole mess. As she said, all good operas end in blood. With the rise of the final curtain, you all see the Jessica Pearson clapping very politely and nods to Thomas, the gentleman in the livery, who hands Sid a rather thick file folder, expanding file folder. This is what we've managed to accomplish. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Good evening, gentlemen. Miss St. James.
Ma'am.
It's always a pleasure, Miss Pearson.
By the way, Alexander, we are going to have a family meeting in the near future.
Very well. I will be more than happy to attend.
And with that clear dismissal, you are escorted out. Out of the Met, deck down to where the subway opens up into the wide, quiet halls. Thomas, the liveried gentleman, nods very politely to you, and you're not 100% sure if he's a ghoul. He's a very old one, but at the same time, he isn't quite a vampire either. Something unique. He nods to you as you go and turns and walks very quietly, almost silently, back into the theater.
Feels good to be out of that stuffy old place.
Mm.
Are you trying to get a rise out of me, Sid? I mean, it's fine to not have any class. It's quite all right.
I have class.
I mean, if you call finding a drunkard in a dive bar class, then I suppose you're correct.
Regardless, gentlemen, that was a lovely opera. One could call it even transcendent. Perhaps one would.
By one, you mean yourself?
I didn't say that, but I also did not say it.
Well, shall we go back home and look at this folder?
Probably a good idea. See what we're getting ourselves into.
Yeah, after all this talk, I'm due for a good hunt.
I would like to make a stop by the coffee shop, not, up the corner from our house, if that's all right with you. Believe I can get probably at least a little bit of a hunt, if nothing else. A nice cappuccino to end the night properly, as it were.
You do know that you can't actually drink those things.
I can drink that, thank you. And it's not about drinking the cappuccino, it's about prepping a willing victim's not the right word. I'm not on my game tonight, boys.
Yeah,
Let's just say I have a friend I would like to see.
That's fine. I'd like to go over these files and see what's...
Wow, we can
Waiting.
stop by the coffee shop. I don't think it's gonna take us too long.
No, that's quite all right. That's fine.
Plus,
5 minutes tops. 5 minutes tops.
yeah, just don't go biting anyone in plain view of everyone.
I would never. Not unless they asked. You've seen how these modern kids can be.
Yeah, they're weird.
Yes.
Shall we then?
Yes, let's go.
Making your way back downtown to Houston Street Station. It's quieter now. It's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. But it's New York. You still hear the cabs on the street. You hear a couple arguing in three languages loudly and yelling at each other, accusing one or another of the most stupidest of ideologies. You hear a couple crying babies and families trying to calm them in the heat as windows are open. The train is relatively cool, although the platforms are hotter than hell. While it might be steaming above ground, it's, well, lava underneath. You come out of the Houston Street station and start walking down the street and stop at the coffee shop around the corner. Interestingly enough, still technically part of your domain. As you have a full block here from King Street to Spring Street. Yourselves. Well, 3 blocks even. But it's a quiet coffee shop. It's not a Starbucks, but still open. Close enough to NYU to get a couple of the student crowd in on occasion. And there's a young woman behind the counter. Kind of greets you as you enter. Who all is entering the coffee shop?
Auden, of course, is trying to walking in, playing cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll be waiting outside.
Someone's got to keep an eye out on the neonate, so I'll go in.
So Alex is left outside. A couple messages on your phone that have come in while you were in the opera. Various information from your investment banker and a couple points from your attorney that need your evaluation. Sid, have you accompanied Auden on her journey to this particular coffee shop before?
For fun, I'll say I don't think I did.
Yeah. Could you do me a favor then, Sid?
Hmm?
Could you roll me perception alertness?
Absolutely.
Just 6.
-1 success. I am oblivious.
Wow. That's a rolls tonight, y'all.
Yeah, what the hell?
We're so good at the rolls. So good.
It's so good at the roll. Roll 20 doesn't like y'all tonight. I don't know today. I don't know what's going on. You enter and it's a little odd. Auden's almost perky for her entering this particular coffee shop, but you're distracted by, well, the smell of something in the air coming from somewhere you're not 100% sure. Auden, who do you see behind that counter?
I am looking at on the shorter side, blonde woman with her hair's very long, but the sides are shaved. And she's obviously very adorable to me. She's got a certain edge to her aesthetic, but she's obviously smiling brightly and being very polite to the few college students that seem to still be around. So I am mostly focused on this barista.
She kind of smiles at you. You've been in before. You have some very courteous conversation. But she's focused. There's a small, almost beginning of a heated conversation occurring between her and one of these college students. That kind of retail aggressiveness has started to come out. That fine line of, I can't say that you're a flaming idiot because I don't want to get fired, but please keep going, and I might decide that this job is really not worth it, and I can come across this counter and slap the bitch.
Sid, what's your read on this gentleman talking to the barista?
Smells like a pompous ass.
You think if you take him outside, he could perhaps disappear for, ever, maybe?
Wait, you want me to kill someone because he's being an asshole to the barista?
Sometimes. A little bit of, my mother always said that politeness is the most important thing in the world, and you did say you were in need of a hunt. I'm giving you something here to do.
I'll walk up to the counter and put a hand on the shoulder of that gentleman. And I'll look at the barista and say, "Is this gentleman bothering you?"
She kind of smiles at you very politely and says, "No, they were just leaving."
Oh, good. And I'll tap the guy in the back and I'll say, "Well, why don't you come with me?"
He kind of turns to you, looks you up and down. Why would I go anywhere with a schlemazel like you?
Now, there's no need to get
All right.
feisty.
I think I'm old and my hearing is a bit, I'm going a bit deaf. What did you say again?
I said, why would I go anywhere with a schlemazel like you?
Now, Simon, out of game, you need to know what a schlemazel is. Is it a very good...
So Sid would know because Sid is Jewish.
Is Jewish, yeah.
And lived in New York. He not only called you, he called you a schlemazel. So first of all, he called you a woman. And second of all, he called you a failed Jew. Effectively. A schlemazel is a female schmuck.
Oh, okay.
So Sid would be very aware of what he just called you.
Yeah, you said, saying I'm a woman?
Well, I don't see you. What? No, that's not what that means.
I think we ought to step outside, son. We have to have a heart-to-heart.
What? I don't want to go anywhere with you. And you can smell it now on him, the amount of alcohol that he has had.
You see, that's my daughter you've been bothering. And I don't like that. So come on. And I'll tap him in the back and try to motion him towards the door.
Are you being human and tapping him on the back or not?
Well, I'm not potent simming in the back. I don't want to break any bones. But I'm being forceful.
But I'm saying, are you restraining yourself to a human level of force? Okay. He kind of tries to resist for a brief moment, but it's almost nothing. He's very intoxicated. It takes very little effort for you to kind of shove him out the door. You're also smelling it enough on him that in the near future, he's probably going to vomit.
Oh. Well, that makes. As I get outside, I figure I see Alexander,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just turn to Alex and say, "See what I meant? Drunkards, they're way too easy. Come on, you're about to go to be sick, kid." And I'll just tap him in the stomach just hard enough to get
That he
the
spews all over. Now the question is, are you kind to Alex or are you not?
No, I am. What I want to do is make sure, tap him on the stomach, but make sure we have time to, let's say, round the corner, be in like the alley next to the coffee store, so that he
Yeah.
can puke, and then I can,
Have dinner.
yeah, have my drink.
There's no roll on this one. There's no resistance required. He is blatantly intoxicated. The question becomes, do you leave a body, sir?
I'm not going to drain him completely. I
Alright,
am
then.
just going to drink a bit and leave him in a daze. And tell him that, next time, should be careful about what you say to strangers.
Mm, yep. So you would get 2 out of that then, if that's the restraint you're going for.
Yeah.
2 for your blood pool. Okay. Well, Sid is dealing with the unpleasant individual in the alleyway. I think we should take our break for the afternoon.
All right.
All right.
We will see you again in about 5 minutes, everyone. And we're back, everyone. So,
Excuse me. So while Sid is having a slight nightcap of a asshole college student, an intoxicated asshole college student, I should say, Auden, your friendly neighborhood barista is asking what you would like.
I will have just a small, very dry cappuccino, if you would not mind.
Not at all.
So, late night hours are kind of rough. Are you the only one here tonight?
Yep. Well, at least for another hour.
Oh. Is that when you get off, or are you going to get someone else to work with you? Just seems like a very odd thing to leave you completely by yourself.
Oh, well, I can handle myself. Grew up in this city. There's not a lot here that shocks me or surprises me anymore.
Oh, interesting.
Is that your friend, by the way, who,
Sid? Oh, he's kind of like my boss. But he's also kind of my dad. It's very complicated.
Okay.
We mostly work together.
All right. I mean, all right. And she kind of has this look of like, do I ask more about? No, I don't want to know. I don't need to know anything else.
I can tell this is not going well, and it's like, so, what else do you do besides baristaing?
I do some writing and acting.
Oh, interesting. I think I might have to activate awe a little bit. If only because Auden is a bubbling fool.
So you activate awe on this kind, and she is riveted by you. She can't look away from you. There's your bumbling attempts at flirtation are seen as the brightest and most important words in her life. Alex, Auden's been in this coffee shop for a good half hour now.
Longer than the 5 minutes that was promised. I'm gonna step inside, see what the hell's going on in here. Sid's dragging out the drunkards, and Auden's spending more than her 5 minutes in there. So,
and walking in, you would immediately notice that Auden's expanded her awe in this space.
oh, this is the game we're playing. Very well. I'll activate all as well.
I'm just gonna kind of turn to Alex.
And the rather cute blonde barista behind the counter kind of turns to look at you and is slightly glazed. Her eyes have started to kind of daze over between the two of you.
And there's no one else in the coffee shop right now?
Not right now.
Okay.
Well, you can make a perception alertness if you want.
Certainly. And is there a difficulty?
6.
One success.
There's something odd in the air. Odd smell. No one here. Or like there was someone here.
Was it the drunkard that Sid just pulled out of here?
No, something. It's right on the tip of your tongue. Something definitely not human.
Alden, are we done playing our game?
Fine.
I mean, by all means, child, have your moment. But just know that it's been a little longer than the 5 minutes I was told this would take.
Very well. My dear, I am afraid I must leave you, but
Oh,
I
are
will be back at some point. If nothing else, you can tell me more about your acting in
oh,
this improv show you were in.
I look forward to it. I can't wait for you to come back.
Don't worry. You'll see me soon. Alexander.
Miss St. James, after you.
Indeed. Autumn's gonna march out with the air of annoyance that she tries to maintain at all times.
So after Auden leaves, Alex, do you leave immediately?
Yeah, I'm going to walk out after Alden.
By about this point, Sid is coming back from around the alleyway. Happily, that perfect feeling of not intoxicated but slightly mellow.
Yeah. Oh, I almost got puke on my shoes.
Lovely. Indeed.
So, did you get your cappuccino?
You could say that. You could say that. I suppose we should look at those files then.
Yeah.
Preferably. Then you can come back to the coffee shop and have your fun.
Sure. Fine.
Oh. Has the big bad Ventru activated dad mode?
Oh, you're the vamp dad here. I won't stake that claim. And I'll deactivate all.
I will too. Mostly because I'm too busy being huffy.
As you're walking down the street, it's still quiet. There are a couple people. As soon as you deactivate awe, you will realize that a couple dog walkers, little shit frou-frou dogs, had been staring at you, kind of shake their heads and kind of start hurrying the dog back along, walking back to their apartments. It's a walk of maybe 2-3 minutes back to, well, if you're maintaining human pace, back to your brownstone. As you walk in, there's another loud bang from the cellar.
When will he actually get settled in?
You brought him. Not my problem.
Yes, when I said we should retain a Nosferatu, I didn't actually mean in the domain.
What better way to keep an eye on him?
I don't know.
Mhm.
Cameras at a random storage facility?
Yeah, that would be my thought. Camera.
Then you can speak to him via camera. I'm sure he'll install a bunch of them in here.
If he hasn't already.
He's not allowed to put him in my room.
No, I've directly told him not the third or fourth floors. for that exact reason.
Wait, I sleep on the second.
That's, again, you can deliver your instructions to him.
You sleep on the second floor?
No, I don't. I don't know where I sleep. I don't have the map of the house.
I will give you the map of the house. Here is the map of the house. The bedrooms are on your office is here.
Yeah, that's the first floor.
That's the parlor floor where the main stairs from outside come in.
Mm-hmm.
There are bedrooms on the third and fourth floor. Then there's the garden level, which is below the stairs, but on the street level, so the ground floor. And then there's the cellar.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I'd have, because the fourth floor is completely taken. So yeah, I'd have a bedroom on the third floor.
So yes. So you and Auden have the 2 bedrooms on the 3rd floor. Alex, do you share any space on the 4th floor?
I have a general office up there and then my bedroom. I don't think we've done anything with the other smaller bedroom there. So
it's just empty space for right now, but you'll figure something out eventually. So as you've returned home, where you'll notice, Sid, that Dolly is straightening up or attempting to straighten up your office. She's brought in 2 additional filing cabinets and started organizing along the back corner, and you can see that she's made it like 3 feet of papers that have since been like removed from the floor.
Oh, hey, Dolly.
Oh, sir, the letters are on your desk, and the invoices as well. Is there anything you need, sir?
Not at the moment. Keep doing what we're doing.
Of course, sir. Mr. Erickson, you have mail as well, sir.
Oh, well, thank you. May I?
Of course, sir. I sent it upstairs already.
Thank you. I'll be sure to check that.
Well, first the folder.
So where are you going to open this folder?
I figure we can sit around the table in the kitchen.
In the eat-in kitchen or the secondary parlor that I'm assuming doubles as your conference room?
I'm a worker class Jewish guy from like the poor boroughs of New York.
Lower Manhattan, yeah. Lower East Side of Manhattan.
One kitchen is enough. So I don't know which one you mean.
Well, you have an eat-in kitchen here, and then you have a rear parlor that's attached to your front parlor. Your front parlor is where you said your office is. So I was saying, well, you have a conference room in your rear parlor.
Oh, look, I have an actual bar in my parlor. That's nice. Well, we don't really need the eat-in kitchen, because, like, unless there's a bunch of humans just milling about in the kitchen, we don't really eat there. So, yeah, sure, I figure there's a round table in the rear parlor or something ostentatious that Alexander bought at some point, and I've repurposed as a poker table / conference room table.
So you go and open up this folder, and there's a lot here. There's a lot of documents, a lot of news clippings, some from that you would recognize from the New York Times, the London Times, the New York Daily News. A couple of them are very obviously the same story between the New York Times and the Daily News, and you both would recall, well, Sid and Alex would recall that old New York adage that if you want to know the truth about anything in the city, you read the New York Times article and the Daily News article about the same event, and the truth is dead square smack in the middle of the two. There are a couple clippings from the New York Post, which is slightly odd for, well, Alex wouldn't necessarily expect a lady of Jessica Pearson's stature to give the Post any validation. One step above a tabloid, most consider it. But they both all seem to be focused on a particular small stories. They're not front page stories by any means. They're social comments or about how this one particular nightclub was shut down for health violations, or another small bar was closed by the city health inspector for or fire inspector for, safety violations. And you're looking at these addresses, and how connected are you to or any of you, to the social wheel of vampires in this city?
I'm moderately connected, I would say.
I mean, as far as my work is concerned, I have to keep an ear out, an ear to the ground for anything. I have to keep connected, but I don't think it goes beyond that.
But, and Auden, are you with them?
I feel I would probably have some connections, but because I probably would have come across at least a few in the work I do, especially like in the high art circles, but I don't think I would be like the most involved necessarily.
Then Sid, you probably would recognize 2 or 3 locations that were very obvious vampire clubs run by, well, this one was run by the Tremere and were very public and almost open with it, a very ostentatious goth club that they opened in the 90s.
Of course.
A cover for something that they did. Who knows? They're Tremere. You reckon that was forced to be closed by the fire marshal. There's another one that you recognize that was a private, almost, location where a number of vampires would socialize, and not an Elysium per se in the formal sense of the term, but considered to be a open market, for lack of a better word. Socializing location. That one was closed for health and safety violations. And you notice that a number of these locations that were closed are all tied back to similar watchdog reports on social media, who you see that they are all the same handle of, an interesting handle. It's odd. It's not in English, and it's not in Hebrew or Yiddish.
What is it?
Well, I'm trying to figure out. Excuse me. Alexander would recognize it. It's in Latin. And Alexander is a fine, upstanding graduate of the Agoge, are you not, sir?
Very much. Spent well into some time studying, so what's the handle?
And the translation is a little, rough, and you would snort at it for its lack of grammar, but you're assuming that it's some sort of thing. It's literally the dog's of the search. And you're like, that's odd. The terminology is odd. It's almost like somebody used the wrong word. They were trying to make a translation, but they let Google Translate do it for them.
Can I ascertain what they were going for?
How's your intellect?
I would say pretty decent. Intelligence is a 3.
Yeah, you can kind of guess that they were kind of going for Inquisition, but it didn't quite work. Used the wrong verb.
And I'll explain this to the other two. It seems like we're whoever's setting these locations up for their shutdown. They're young. They're inexperienced, it seems. They know enough to be dangerous and how to tip off the city's bureaucracies.
But they don't know enough to write a handle properly.
They don't know their Latin well enough.
Well, Dogs of the Search. What about the kidnappings? And I'll start searching through the papers. Like, is there anything about the kidnappings that the Primogen mentioned?
You notice that a couple of them are intriguing. A couple of them are names that you would recognize. They're vampires of note in the city.
Okay.
But they're being kidnapped, but they're not being kidnapped by the kidnappings are being arranged and done in such a way, particularly you get what amounts to health records or medical evaluations after the fact that seem to be that these are very obviously not that there was something impeding them from acting in their own manner. The people who are being taken are of note, but they're not of power. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so they're recognizable, but they're not necessarily people with authority.
Mm-hmm. A couple of them hang out among the harpies. You see a couple people that you would recognize. Interestingly enough, there's a lot there. You flip through and you notice like 3 of them are members of the Bruja, 2 are Toreadors. There don't seem to be any of the Ventru in this kidnapping list, but there are like 4 Gangrel, and again, no Nos, but there's 2 Malkavians that have been kidnapped repeatedly, almost alternating weeks for the past 3 months. Like, somebody just keeps finding these 2 Malkavians and like, I'm going to take you home now, and I'm going to then let you go for money, and oh look, there you are again, let me take you back. It's very odd.
Yeah, no shit.
But it's Malkavians, so you're not sure if this is intentional or not.
Yeah, I was going to say the Malkavians could just kidnap themselves.
Yeah, it might just be a big red herring.
Might be. It's very odd behavior, though.
And have they all been returned? Or is one or a few of them still missing?
There is 1 Bruja that is still missing. And interestingly enough, another individual who's also still listed as missing of note, La Sombra.
Do I have a name for that?
No, there's no name on the Lasombra, but it's mentioned that there's a description given. Tall, female, blonde hair, died, and new to the city. This particular one is of interest because it's certain political issues have become involved. This particular Lasombra had come purely for meetings with various members of the court that she never made.
Okay.
Would that be why Rome was interested in what's going on here?
Could be if she comes from Europe.
No, I doubt that. There was no Sombra. It sounds like somebody's trying to start a war over politics. I mean, what better way than kidnapping a sect diplomat?
Yeah, and hiding that kidnapping amongst all the others.
And using the Malkavians to distract us from the real problem.
Well,
or practice kidnapping.
For all we know, I mean,
who pays repeatedly to get the Malkavians out of trouble? I mean, whoever it is that paid for their return, like, that person probably knows more about the kidnappers than anybody else. Because they've done it repeatedly.
Probably. Is there anything in the file about where or when these kidnappings are taking place, or
who's paying the ransom?
Well, there's nothing, no discernible pattern you can see, except that all of the releases are occurring in Manhattan. But that's not really a surprise. It is the most populous of the boroughs. It's easy enough to spread out the massive amounts throughout the subway systems. You could get on and get off and go in an entirely different part of the city and never be seen. Well, unless you know someone who could get into the camera system that was installed after 9/11 throughout the city.
Yeah, another thing that's strange is that the Nosferatu aren't getting kidnapped at all.
Also true.
I mean,
but neither
now,
are the Ventru.
I have an out of character question here. Are we ShrekNet still around, or no ShrekNet?
ShrekNet exists.
But has not been breached.
Has not been breached.
Okay. All right. And then that would lead me to say that the Nos probably have a very good idea of what's going on.
Well, I'd say we could ask Urshel, but I don't think he's done moving in. So he might not have been as aware of what's been going on lately.
Right.
I think we're gonna have to use him to help us figure this out, though.
Well, I have a few contacts on the streets. I can always grill them for information.
There is one other interesting thing of note, Mr. Zimmerman, as you're flipping through this dossier.
Uh-huh.
There's a handwritten note addressed to you.
Ooh.
Very fine, high, copper plate penmanship on a fountain pen, you could tell, on a very nice, fine piece of paper. Mr. Zimmerman, the note reads. Well, the investigation will proceed, I'm sure. One interesting thing of note we have discovered is 3 of the individuals who were released made their way and they reported themselves by means of a small occult shop on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. I believe you know the location.
Yep.
Good day. And just signed with a giant J and a P.
That Pearson woman knows her stuff. She did most of the legwork for us, it seems. I'm gonna go to my phone, which is
Rotary.
A
rotary
rotary
phone.
dial
Yeah,
phone.
of course, because I'm from the 50s. So, and I'm gonna call Rebecca.
You know, I could get you a new phone if you want something that doesn't require the rotary.
I thought you young ones actually like rotary phones. It's all vintage and crap.
I'm just offering to be nice.
Yeah, I could probably use something that doesn't take me 5 hours to dial a number. You know, back in my day, numbers were like 4 digits.
And now that you're living in Manhattan in 2019, you need the area code every time you call.
Yeah, I know. I need 10 digits now. It's getting longer. Not that I'm gonna die anytime soon, but my contacts might. Brrr. Brrr. Brrr.
The phone rings once, twice. You hear a click, and you can tell it's on speakerphone. Sid! How can I help you tonight?
Rebecca, nice to hear your voice.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple questions for you.
Okay, I'm a mite busy at the moment. Is this something that's like really important, or can it be like moderately important?
It's going to be very important. Do you mind if I come to your store?
Sure. And you just hear the sound of like something sliding through layers of something else, almost like a knife cutting through chicken.
Yeah, all right. Stay there. We'll be at the shop in as fast as we can.
No rush. Everything's fine.
Yeah, maybe for you.
All right then. I look forward to seeing you. Bye.
And I'll hang up. She was sort of busy, but we can go to her store and ask the questions there ourselves.
Okay, then.
Are you okay to take the train again, Mr. Erickson?
Yes, I'm quite alright to take the train.
You wouldn't take the train.
Oh, I wouldn't need to?
Nope. You're going cross town. You're going basically cross Spring Street to Delancey.
So we can just walk our way there. It's gonna take like a half hour or something.
Are you going at human speeds?
When you say human speeds, you mean like a regular human walking or like a fast human walking or like celerity?
Like a regular human walking through the heat in New York at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, sure. I don't want to...
So So yeah, it'd take you about 20 minutes to get across town.
Yeah. No, we're not gonna rush our way there. The night is young. And so are some of us.
And some of you just look it.
Some of us actually are turning 100.
I think 2 of you are turning 100.
No,
I'm
actually,
young forever.
I think we actually did the math, and it turns out I'm just a hair older than Simon
Yeah.
is.
By like 2 years.
Yeah.
So you're going to throw a very ostentatious centennial birthday for Alex, aren't you, Sid?
No.
Oh, by ostentatious, I meant you're, like overdone and the worst possible tackiness that you can conceive of that would annoy him.
Oh no, not even. I think for Sid it would be just like I'd buy a store-bought cake, knowing full well that he'd have to spend blood to eat it.
Oh, I wouldn't eat it. No.
And I probably would, like, I don't know, try to find a person that answers this incredibly long list of criterias for food.
Yep.
It is not an incredibly long list.
Yeah, it's like ginger
Very-
firstborns.
Not ginger firstborns, just firstborn females.
Ginger preferred.
Okay.
Yeah, and they have to be grass-fed and organic and free range.
Now you're just starting to sound like Auden, so like maybe no.
I was gonna say you're getting the Toreador and the Ventry mixed up here, okay?
So crossing town to the Lower East Side of Manhattan, which looks very different from when Sid, you were growing up. But there's still a few signs that look the same. A couple of the synagogues are still there. A couple of the old tenements have been torn down and replaced, but some of the buildings are still there. You come down Delancey Street to just as it crosses Canal Street on the border of the Lower East Side and Chinatown, and there's a small, 6-story high-rise with a small occult shop in the front. The lights are still on. It's kind of this odd amalgamation of gothic horror and hippie new age. But there is a what's it called? The little thingy in silver that's the Torah that sits on the outside of the door of every Jewish house.
Okay.
A mezuzah? Is
Thank
that what we're thinking of?
Word is like I can't remember the freaking word. It's the little scroll it's a silver thingy that has the scroll of the Torah inside and the blessing on the house. Yeah. See?
I can picture it in my head.
Everybody, the 2 of us got it. Sid would notice it because it's something rather familiar that your mother would have, or your father would have had on the apartment door. As you walk in, the door is open. It's almost always open. The scents are interesting. You would expect the heavy scent of incense to match the location and the place, and you see books that claim to be witchcraft or occult, and then there are a couple other, Wiccan for dummies kind of things lying around. But intermingled, there's a heavy scent of real magic in the air. Old, heavy magic. And a feeling that, I wonder something. I wonder. Can each of you roll me a perception occult or perception alertness? Perception alertness.
Difficulty 6.
Yeah, difficulty 6.
Oh, finally we've got a bunch of successes.
2 success.
2 successes.
3.
4
7 is-
successes.
Yeah, we got 4.
And then 4 successes. So not bad. You feel this static electricity, and you all hear a voice in the background speaking softly in the back room. Soft even by mortal standards. You probably wouldn't even have noticed it if you were mortal. But it seems to just kind of tug at the edge of your perception. And you all hear a soft, well, welcome inside. Come on in. Don't just stand there. You're taking up space. This is taking too long. I've got my hands full. You can come over here now.
Hey, Becky.
Sid. Oh, you brought the whole crew. Hey, Alex.
And I'm assuming I've met Miss Leibowitz.
Oh, you have definitely met Miss Leibowitz. Rebecca Leibowitz and her occult store is kind of an oddity in New York. She doesn't age, and the store goes through various incarnations, but it's almost always some form of occult, and it's oddly left alone by most people.
Good
You
evening.
can picture a young Rachel Weisz.
That was the actress from The Mummy, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
So, what's up, Sid?
Well, we have a couple questions for you.
Mm-hmm. And you look down, and she's got a knife kind of carving into this large haunch of meat as she's cutting it off.
You making supper or something?
You would not believe how hard it is to get kosher in the city now. They keep closing all the meat packers.
I don't have the problem anymore.
Well, you're lucky in that one. Does that mean you don't keep kosher? How can you? I know enough Jews that I can introduce you to that you could keep kosher.
Yeah, I probably could, but my tastes have changed. Let's just say I'm less observant now than I was before.
Oh no, she's really upset. And she is definitely aware, at least of. No, she's aware of all your. Oddly so, of your predilections.
Yeah, she's safe.
She's protected somehow.
I'm not gonna go around divulging, Camarilla's secrets to her, but permanent fangs type thing. She kind of had to know.
But she also doesn't seem to react in any way that Alex, you've interacted with her a couple of ways. It's almost like she knows more than she should, but she's never been bothered by anyone of authority. And anyone who mentions her is aware of the store and her location, but never seems to make a threatening move towards her.
Okay.
And that is why she's my number one contact.
I
thought
forgot you have permanent fangs.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't get the thingies through Amazon yet. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do like on LA by Night and actually have fangs all the time.
And it's, Alex, I know quite a lot of things and a lot of people, and Do you mind like moving like 3 feet? I'm about to spray you, and I don't want to really do that. It's a really nice suit.
Of course.
Why
And I'll
did you tell him?
step aside.
Nothing. Please, squirt ahead.
And she kind of jerks her hand, and the whole. You see the knife that she's working with is almost a machete. It's huge, and she's kind of just sliced this whole side of beef off the rib cage. And you see a small squirt of blood land exactly where Alex was 2 seconds ago. So, what's this about?
There's a couple of us that came to your store recently to announce themselves as being
Oh, yeah, that whole
Freeder?
thing about kidnapping
yeah.
is weird. Why do they keep kidnapping the Malkavians? They're so nice.
Well, that's a question I had for you. So, who came through your store exactly?
And she kind of looks you up and down. Who's asking this time?
What do you mean who's asking this time? It's me.
Yeah, but who are you working for? Is this like formal or informal?
Why can't it be both?
Because I like Sybil. I don't want you to hurt her
Well,
or make her unhappy.
Sybil's not here. I don't know where she is.
That's part of the problem. She keeps getting kidnapped.
Oh, she's one of them.
Yeah.
All
Sybil and Dorothea. You can intimidate her if you want.
right. Why would I? Unless she knows something and she's not telling me.
She's a Malkavian.
Yeah, just because they're all cuckoos doesn't mean that I have to go around and break necks.
I don't know. But you can be intimidating with the Bruja, I guess. There should be a couple of them showing up tomorrow night.
Really? How come you know?
In this case, because they kept saying that they would show up tomorrow night.
Who said they would show up tomorrow night?
Well, this particular individual of Clan Bruja was most unpleasant when I said that I would not be divulging how people know where to find me.
But those other Brujas coming in tomorrow, they were kidnapped, right?
One of them was. The rest are... want more information, but they're not as nice as you are in asking.
Well... And I'll turn to Auden and Alexander. Seems like we know where we ought to be tomorrow night.
This seems to be the case. So,
If all else fails, Sybil will be showing up too. It's her week to get kidnapped.
all right then.
Yeah, we definitely are going to have to ask the Malkavians about why they keep getting kidnapped like that.
I mean, I can give you the short answer.
Yeah, sure.
And that is
Because technically they've never been ransomed.
Wait, so they just let them go?
Define let.
So they've escaped.
They've constantly escaped and are kidnapped again.
Like I said, they're Malkavians.
If they've escaped, then they would probably know where they were taken,
Yeah.
or at least where they were taken the first time.
Hmm.
Well, looks like we're gonna have to come back tomorrow night, Becky.
Tea, then?
Uh,
Fine. Of course, I meant, like blood.
oh. I'm always up for blood.
Ugh.
Well,
Can you keep kosher if you can't bleed it out? Huh.
well,
That's a question.
if I bleed someone dry, it's kosher and then it's murder. So,
No one's perfect.
yeah, well, I'd rather not be a murderer all the time.
There are worse things in New York.
Mayor de Blasio, for one.
Honestly, he screwed everything up. Did you know I saw a squeegee guy on the street last week? Honestly, on the street. I thought, I may not have liked Rudy, but at least he got rid of the squeegee guys. Now there are squeegee guys on the street. What the hell? And I found 3 crack vials again. 3!
2019 in the city.
I can't wait for the next election. I'm going to vote. Again.
Yeah, you know it doesn't matter, right?
Your vote might not.
No, what I meant is the Ventrus here probably already know who the next mayor is going to be. They're going to put one of their puppets up.
Like I said, Sid, your vote might not. But anything I can interest you from the store? Anything you need?
You mean in all of your knickknacks and fake magical tomes?
Oh no, that's the front of the place. You want to check in the everything's important in the back.
Well, I'll turn to the group. Do y'all wanna take a peek at what she has in the back?
Sure.
That can't hurt.
Oh, you'd be surprised. Some of the things in the back hurt.
Only because you don't ask before you touch things, Sid.
Yeah, some of these books come with teeth, apparently.
Interesting.
And electric shock therapy for those that really don't listen. But, come on, I'll show you around. And she'll lead you behind her kitchen, which is where she was standing, and through this kind of beaded curtain that looks like it belongs in a 60s, swinging pad.
Why did I know there would be a beaded curtain?
Because there is. Can I have you all roll willpower as you cross the curtain?
Oh boy.
Oh no.
And this
Let's
is
hope this goes better than the last willpower.
Difficulty 6 as well, I'm assuming.
Yes, because she's letting you in.
Okay.
Does Iron Will do anything?
6 successes!
In this case, you will get 1 extra die.
Okay.
Yay!
I will
5
take
successes.
3. I'm okay with that.
You will take 3 successes, 5 successes for Sid. Sid, or Auden, you kind of walk through and you don't really notice anything. But once you do, you kind of smell this heavy scent of various herbs and hanging from the ceiling. You can smell various other scents in the air and feel this kind of electricity as it goes through you. Sid, as you walk through, you kind of feel this slight feeling like you're walking through something that's more than just this beaded curtain. But once you cross it, you again smell these heavy scents of herbs and almost a scent of jasmine in the air that you can't really place or put in like thing. Alex, as you cross this curtain, you feel this hint of electricity, and you feel something kind of run through you, like that old feeling of like somebody took a blow dryer and took it up and down and blew it up and down on you as you walked through, and then finally you smell this heavy scent of herbs and lemon and jasmine in the air, and it's slightly disconcerting to you, but you're focused back on it. And you look around this space and you're like, this is odd. This is weird. But it's New York. This is not the weirdest shit you'd ever seen.
I mean...
our basement is probably worse.
I was going to say, we've been dead for close to 100 years. I mean, I'm sure we've seen some shit.
Yeah.
Well then.
So, what'd you need? I mean, honestly, I can only do so much if you don't tell me what you need.
I mean, anything in particular you're looking for, Sid?
Need is probably not the right word.
Ah. What do you want, then, Miss St. James?
Well, we seem to be running into a great deal of kidnappers with our current situation. Perhaps it would be nice to have something to help us not become victims.
Protections.
A little extra boost, perhaps. Not to, put down my compatriots here, but we do also have another friend that sometimes joins us, and he is of a less desirable quality, let's just say.
Oh, I've met Herschel a few times. And I've really I mean, not that he remembers ever. Am I really that, forgettable?
No, sweetie. It's not you, it's Herschel.
Sorry, who are you again?
And she kind of walks up and flicks you in the middle of the forehead. Do I need to fix your brain again?
No. The old caboose has been working just fine.
Good. Wouldn't want you to be broken. Like either way you are. But protections, those I can do. And she kind of walks over to this counter that you can see, and it's not until she walks over to it that you notice it's dark in here, and it's almost only because of your, less than human senses that you can see it all. But she seems to move through this space as if it was daylight. And the minute she touches this table in front of her, you see this kind of light glow kind of emanate around this table. And as you watch, do any of you have a cult?
Yeah, I have a few dots.
You can roll then.
Oh yeah, I do too. I keep forgetting that I do.
I was gonna say though.
Intelligence occult if you choose to.
Yeah, sure.
Or perception occult if you want.
I just need to check something real quick.
If you have a specialization?
No, I don't. I was going to say if it doesn't cost any blood, I'll turn on my eyes through Protean.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
I think the eye thing is free.
The eye thing is free.
Declare his desired. No roll. It takes a full turn. My eyes glow, but that's it. Yeah. So I can actually see through total darkness.
Mm-hmm. So you activate your eyes of the beast, which are kind of, Alex, you and Auden would both see this glowing coming from Sid. Sid, what do your eyes look like when this happens?
They actually turn yellow. But aside from that, like, there's a soft glow to them. Enough that, if I don't have sunglasses, for example, you could see the glow even with my eyes closed. But that's it. It's just the color of the eyes that goes from brown to like stark yellow, like a sickly yellow color.
Mm-hmm.
Something that clearly marks me as unnatural.
You would see this happen, and if you choose to, you can roll either intelligence occult or perception occult. Your choice on which one.
I'll go with perception occult.
It's, difficulty 7.
7? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
3 successes.
Ooh. Auden, are you rolling as well?
Yeah, I think I will. Roll it as intelligence occult.
Okay.
Difficulty 7.
Mm-hmm.
1 success.
You both see something odd. You see this kind of energy start to flow through Rebecca. And she kind of just starts waltzing her hands. And picking up something, and she starts twisting it and turning it. Auden, you know that she's doing some sort of magic of something, but you don't aware enough or haven't experienced enough of it to really say exactly what she's doing. Sid, you recognize almost, you can kind of hear it almost as she's speaking, that it's not in English, it's in Hebrew, and it's almost like prayers that she's reciting, old prayers, not things that you would say in the synagogue or at any of the major rites, but almost prayers of protection. And she seems to be weaving her hands across. Not anything you'd find in the Torah, but still in Hebrew and still old. And this goes on for 20, 30 minutes. Alex, are you doing anything during this point?
Just casually browsing around, looking at all of the knickknacks. Not touching.
The
Not touching
paraphernalia?
anything. Yes, a firm believer in the rule of look, but do not touch.
Mm-hmm. It's almost comforting, this space with its hanging herbs and large containers of mason jars of various things. You see a couple things, you're like, I don't think I want to know what animal that came from, but that's a thing that exists. And you're like, that those are eyeballs, and I'm slightly disconcerted because there's like they were surgically removed, the retina's still attached, and you're obviously this is someone who knows what they're doing. But after 20 minutes, you see this glow kind of come over the table that she's been working at, and lights come on. Old Edison bulbs in unshaded sconces near the door. So I have these for you. Don't worry, they're not holy. They're not gonna like burn you or anything. Is anybody like a problem for like silver or something? I forgot to ask.
Good.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because if you did, then I was just going to say, like, coat the back and, like, clear nail polish, and that'll be fine. But you don't want to actually do these in things other than silver. So here, they're small silver medallions, flat circle around a Star of David. And there's an inscription in Hebrew around the outside.
What does it say?
It seems to just be a statement of similar to saying like Yahweh's guidance be upon the protection from the other I grant unto you.
Yeah. Those are magical, right?
Well, it'll definitely help you not succumb to certain things. But if you get staked through the heart, that's not my fault.
That no one would blame you for that.
Like, I would actually have to like tattoo something on you to prevent you from that, and it's like not my thing.
Well, maybe it can be your thing later. But for now, what do these do?
Well, they should prevent like certain beings from like, overwhelming you with magic and possibly taking you out with other forms of abilities, theoretically. I mean, like, I haven't tried it against like somebody like Mithras, but it should hold against somebody like what's his name? Thomas Hayden.
Well, all right.
Haywood, that's the guy, right? Thomas Haywood.
All right. So it prevents us from getting knocked out.
And slightly dominated.
Oh, it protects from domination.
To an extent.
Wow. Hey, Alex, I'm gonna start wearing that at home.
That's fine. I don't usually intend on dominating anybody in the house.
Okay, whatever the two of you get up to in your private bedroom, that's on you. I don't need to know any further.
We don't sleep together.
Do you need like couples therapy then?
We've been together long
I know
enough that
I know a good shrink that would definitely help you with that.
I don't need to see a shrink.
Honey, you're a Jewish vampire. Of course you need to see a shrink. It's by definition.
I mean, I could see that as a like independent movie.
You do seem to scream existential crisis.
You're a crisis.
Anyway, ignoring the lover spat, thank you kindly for the protection thing.
Mm-hmm. Can't guarantee exactly how long it'll last, but if you leave it out in like a full moon for like, just let it sit out there and like charge or whatever, and if you have some nice incense and you bless it a bit, it should last you about a year or so before I need to like do some serious work on it.
Do you have a spare one for Herschel?
No, he's got to come see me.
All right, we'll bring.
I mean, like, tomorrow. I can't do this by myself. Well, no, let me phrase that. I can do it, but he needs to be here for me to tie it to him, kind of like synchronizing things and making it all work.
Yeah, I get that.
Are you sure I don't need to fix your head again?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right. Well then, bye. Oh, wait, here. And she'll go back into the main part of the store and walk through out of her personal location and into the main, her own private back room, and picks up a piece of paper, a small note card, and writes a little something on it, turns and hands it to Auden and says, so like when they get really problematic, this is like one of my bestest friends and they are a great couples therapist. I can just honestly say that she has worked wonders with some of the most complicated people in the city. You'll love her.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you kindly.
Mm-hmm. She'll also do great things for you when you finally get over this whole, shyness with your barista thing. Have a good day.
We're gonna leave that one. We're just gonna leave that on the table now. Anyway, gentlemen, shall we?
Yeah.
And
go.
as you walk out the door, I think that's where we'll leave New York for today. With Rebecca Leibowitz closing the door of her occult store. And our 3 vampires nominally protected. We shall see.
Cool.
All right.
Cool. Well, that was our first episode of Vampire Nightfall, our Vamp Masquerade game. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Thank you for everyone who hung out in chat. Thank you for everyone who's watching this on VOD. And thank you, players, for playing with us. And thank you, Deirdre, for storytelling the game. Let's just go around the table, tell us who you are, where we can find you on the internet. And we'll begin with our storyteller.
Oh, hey all, you know me. I'm at Deirdre on Twitter or Praxoros Asmiophorias. You see me hanging out in the Twitch chat. I hope you all have fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what dark and twisted things I can throw at our players as I lead them down questioning their humanity. But as for me, you can find me tomorrow over on Soulbear RPG for the Shattered Eye as the Shattered Fam tries to deal with things and Alienor has no memory. It's an issue. And then I'll be over on Role Players on Monday for some Age of Arcana, and then back here on Tuesday. Look forward to seeing you all. But check my Twitter. I always post where I'm going to be so I can share all the fun things I'm doing.
Yep. And moving on to Alexander.
Hey all, you can find me on Twitter at berserker_rage or in Twitch. I will be here on Saturdays in this wonderful, wonderful game that we're all getting to play in. So I'm definitely looking forward to the coming weeks for that. So do feel free to stop by and hang out with us and watch us do what we do.
Yep. And last but not least, Odin.
You can find me here Saturdays for this amazing game. You can find me on Twitter at Xander Slamilton. Not on there too much lately because I'm still kind of in the middle of roller derby season, but I will be around when I can be around, or you can just find me here.
Cool. And I'm Simon, Wandering DM. Thank you again, everyone, for coming. Before we leave, I just wanted to say again, remind you that this stream is sponsored by Mage and Press. And that if you go on their store at store.mageandpress.com and you use code WanderingDM, you get 15% off of everything, including the Dark Matter sourcebook, which, by the way, we play here every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. You can also find me on Mondays on Role Players at 8 p.m. Eastern again, DMing Age of Arcana, my homebrewed campaign setting. And then on Wednesdays, we play Acquisition Incorporated. On Fridays, we play Castle Falkenstein, and on Saturday, like today, we play Vampire the Masquerade. On that note, we will go raid our friend Talsquall, who's playing Dungeons and Dragons right now. So let's just hop in, raid Squall, and wish him good luck with whatever he's doing at the moment. And we will see you. Oh, it's the Vice.
Yep, the Vice is for charity. Everything goes for charity.
Cool. Well then, let's go raid for charity. And we will see you again next week. Bye-bye, everyone.